Imagine telling someone in the year 2004 that within 20 years, a machine would be able to write novels, compose music, create paintings, hold conversations that felt almost human, diagnose diseases from a scan, drive a car through city traffic, and translate any language on Earth in real time. Imagine telling them that billions of people would carry this technology in their pocket, consult it daily, and trust it more than they trusted their own memory. They would almost certainly think you were describing science fiction, the kind of movie where the machines eventually go too far, and a hero has to stop them. The kind of story that was always set safely in the future, far enough away that nobody had to think too seriously about it. The future arrived earlier than expected, and unlike the movies, it did not arrive with dramatic music and flashing lights. It arrived quietly, through suggestion boxes and spam filters, through a camera that recognized your face, through a map app that knew about the traffic jam before you did. By the time most people thought to ask whether AI was changing the world, it already had. So, could it take over? Not in the movie sense, not with robot armies and red glowing eyes. But in a more serious, more complicated, more genuinely interesting sense, could artificial intelligence eventually run so much of the world that the question of who is in control becomes genuinely difficult to answer? The answer is not yes or no. It is something more interesting than either. Subscribe to Freud Mind and let us walk through the full story. Before AI existed in any meaningful sense, the world functioned on human effort in ways that are now easy to forget. Maps were paper. If you were lost, you stopped and asked someone, or you pulled over and unfolded something. Customer service was a person, always a person, sometimes a person who put you on hold for 45 minutes, but a person. If you wanted to know something, you looked it up in a book, asked someone who knew, or accepted that you simply did not know. Factories in the 20th century were extraordinary machines, enormous, loud, precisely engineered. But they required human operators at almost every stage. Workers read dials, adjusted controls, managed exceptions, made the thousands of small judgments that kept production running. The machine was the tool. The human was the intelligence directing it. Computers existed before AI and were genuinely transformative, but they were different in a specific and important way. A computer in 1990 did exactly what it was told and nothing else. It had no capacity to learn, to adjust, to make sense of new situations. If you gave it a task it was not specifically programmed for, it failed. It was extraordinarily fast and extraordinarily literal, powerful within its instructions and helpless outside them. This is the world that most people who are adults today grew up in. A world where the most sophisticated technology was still firmly in the category of tool rather than agent, something that extended human capability without replacing human judgment. Then something started to change. Not all at once, not dramatically, quietly. Most people did not know they were using artificial intelligence the first time they used it. There was no announcement, no transition moment, no clear before and after. It simply appeared inside the things they were already using, making those things slightly better, slightly more personalized, slightly more useful. And nobody thought much about it. Search engines began returning results that seemed to understand what you meant rather than just matching your exact words. Spam filters learned to recognize the patterns of unwanted email and move it out of your inbox without being explicitly told the rules for every new type of spam. Autocorrect started knowing that you probably did not mean ducking. Your phone's camera began doing things automatically that professional photographers used to have to do manually, recognizing faces, adjusting for light, keeping moving subjects in focus. Netflix suggested the next thing you might want to watch based on everything you had watched before. Spotify built playlists that felt, somehow, like they understood your mood. Google Maps did not just show you the route, it anticipated the traffic on each road, dynamically, in real time. based on the movement of millions of other devices simultaneously. None of this required a human to check or update or think about. The system did it, learned from it, and got better. Voice assistants made the relationship more conversational. You could speak to your phone in plain language and receive an answer. Not a perfect answer always, not a complete answer, but something. The interaction felt different from typing a command into a machine. It felt a little like talking to something that understood you. By the time the term artificial intelligence entered everyday conversation, around the mid-2010s for most people, AI had already been running quietly inside the digital infrastructure of modern life for a decade. The technology did not arrive the day people started calling it AI. It was already there. Then AI left the screen. This is the part that changes the scale of the conversation. Software is powerful but contained. It lives in devices, in servers, in data centers. It affects the world through screens and speakers. But when AI moves into physical systems, when it takes on robotic form, when it drives vehicles, when it operates in the real physical world rather than the digital one, the implications become considerably larger. Robot vacuum cleaners were one of the earliest and most visible examples of AI entering the physical world of the home, a device that navigated space autonomously, made decisions about where to go, learned the layout of a room over time. They represented something genuinely new, a machine that was operating in the world, adapting to its environment, without human instruction at every step. Warehouse automation scaled this idea into something that began to reshape entire industries. Amazon's fulfillment centers, where autonomous robots move shelving units to human packers, demonstrated that physical logistics, which had been almost entirely human, could be reorganized around AI-driven systems with dramatic changes in speed and efficiency. The robots did not replace every human in the warehouse. They changed what the humans were doing and how many of them were needed. Delivery robots began appearing in campuses, hospitals, and city streets. Small autonomous vehicles navigating sidewalks and hallways, carrying packages and food without a human driver. Self-driving cars progressed from experiments to carefully monitored deployments in specific cities, functional enough to be operating in real traffic carrying real passengers. In agriculture, autonomous machines are capable of planting, monitoring, and harvesting crops with precision that exceeds what is possible manually, adjusting to soil variations, identifying diseases in individual plants, operating continuously in conditions that would exhaust a human worker. In construction, in surgery, in manufacturing, in entertainment, physical systems guided by AI are performing tasks that were previously understood as requiring human presence. Humanoid robots, machines designed to move and interact in the physical world in roughly human form, represent the most visible symbol of this trend. Early versions exist in research labs and, in limited forms, in commercial deployment. They are not yet what science fiction imagined, but they are advancing, and the direction of that advancement is clear. AI has left the screen. It can now act in the world. Imagine an ordinary morning a decade from now. Your home has already adjusted its temperature based on your sleeping patterns and the weather. Your calendar has reorganized your morning based on an updated meeting request and the traffic prediction for your commute. While you eat breakfast, an AI assistant reads through your emails and flags the 3 that actually need your attention today. Your car navigates itself to your first destination while you review those 3 emails on the way. At the hospital you are visiting, an AI system has already analyzed thousands of scans this week, flagging anomalies for the radiologist to review. The doctor you see has access to a diagnostic assistant that considers your entire medical history, current symptoms, and relevant research literature simultaneously, something no human doctor could do unassisted in the same time frame. In the school where your child studies, adaptive learning software has identified the exact points where their understanding of mathematics is shaky and is adjusting the day's lesson plan accordingly. At home in the evening, You interact with a translation tool that allows you to have a real conversation with someone who speaks a language you do not know, fluently, in real time. The elderly parent living alone in another city is checked on throughout the day by a system that monitors their activity patterns, alerts their doctor if something seems wrong, and connects them with a conversation interface when they have not spoken to anyone in too long. At what point, in this picture, does AI stop being a tool and become something closer to infrastructure? That question is not hypothetical. It is already partly answered, and the answer is trending in one direction. The conversation about AI and jobs is one of the most emotionally loaded aspects of this entire topic, and it deserves more nuance than the debate usually produces. AI is already automating tasks that were previously performed by people, in data processing, in customer service, in content creation, in logistics, in pattern recognition tasks across dozens of industries. Some jobs that exist today will likely be significantly reduced in number or restructured as AI systems become capable of handling more of what those jobs involve. But this is not the first time in human history that a major technological shift changed the landscape of work. Mechanized agriculture eliminated most farm labor in developed countries. But the people who would have been farm workers moved into factories, into service industries, into new categories of work that did not exist before mechanization. The internet eliminated travel agencies, video rental stores, and many clerical roles, while creating enormous new industries in e-commerce, software, digital marketing, and content creation. The pattern from history is that technology tends to change work rather than simply eliminating it. The work that remains for humans tends to shift toward what is harder to automate: judgment in ambiguous situations, emotional intelligence, creative synthesis, physical dexterity in unstructured environments, relationship management. This does not mean the transition is painless or that everyone displaced from one type of work finds an equivalent position in a new one. The disruption is real, but the conclusion that AI will simply eliminate human economic activity is not well supported by history. The more likely near-term picture is human-AI collaboration. The most philosophically significant question about AI is not whether it will perform more tasks than humans, it clearly will, but whether it will become genuinely smarter than humans in a comprehensive sense. And the answer requires a careful look at what intelligence actually is. There is a distinction in AI research between narrow AI and artificial general intelligence. Narrow AI, which is all AI that currently exists, is systems that are extraordinarily capable within a defined domain, but essentially incapable outside it. A chess AI can defeat any human chess player but cannot drive a car, write a poem, or understand a joke. A language model can produce sophisticated text across many topics, but has no understanding of the physical world, no memory of yesterday's conversation, and no genuine comprehension of what it is saying in the way a human comprehends language. Artificial general intelligence, a system that could reason flexibly across domains, learn from limited data the way humans do, apply knowledge from one context to an entirely novel one, and operate with genuine understanding rather than sophisticated pattern matching, does not currently exist. Whether it will exist, when, and what it would mean if it did, are among the most significant open questions in technology and philosophy. What is clear is that the systems we currently call AI are powerful in ways that feel surprising and occasionally disorienting, but are fundamentally different from human cognition in important ways. They lack consciousness. They lack genuine understanding. They lack the embodied, emotionally situated, socially embedded experience that shapes human intelligence. Whether these gaps can be closed, and what it would mean if they were, is not yet answered. Three possible futures present themselves when looking honestly at the trajectory of AI development. In the first, AI becomes the most powerful tool in human history for solving problems that have seemed intractable. Medical research accelerates as AI systems identify patterns in biological data that no human team could find. Climate solutions are discovered faster. Space exploration extends further, with AI systems managing environments too dangerous or distant for human presence. Education becomes genuinely personalized at scale. Every student in the world receiving a learning experience tailored to their specific pace, strengths, and interests. Diseases are caught earlier, resources are managed more efficiently. Human creativity is amplified rather than replaced, as AI handles the tedious and the routine, freeing human attention for the novel and the meaningful. This is not a fantasy. The components of this future are already visible in early form. AI is already accelerating drug discovery, already improving diagnostic accuracy, already extending access to educational resources in ways that were not previously possible. The question is whether this trajectory is maintained, broadened, and distributed fairly across populations globally, rather than concentrating its benefits narrowly. In the second possible future, the concern is subtler, and in some ways more interesting than any dramatic scenario. If AI gradually takes over more and more of the cognitive and physical tasks of daily life, navigating, scheduling, remembering, writing, designing, deciding, what happens to the human capacity for these things? Skills that are not practiced tend to atrophy. If AI extends this pattern into more fundamental cognitive domains, if reasoning, problem-solving, and creative thinking are increasingly delegated rather than exercised, the question of what humans are practicing, and therefore maintaining, becomes genuinely important. The concern is not that humans would lose the legal right to think for themselves. The concern is more subtle, that the option to delegate would be so attractive, so frictionless, that many people would exercise it by default, and the capacities not exercised would gradually diminish. In the third possible future, the concern is systemic rather than individual. AI is already embedded in critical infrastructure, in power distribution, in financial markets, in transportation systems, in communications networks, in healthcare systems. As this embedding deepens, the vulnerability of these systems to failure, to error, or to deliberate interference becomes a genuinely significant risk. A cyber attack on an AI-managed power grid, a catastrophic error in an AI-driven financial system, a failure in AI-managed hospital infrastructure. The consequences of critical system failures scale with the criticality of the systems involved. The more dependent a society becomes on AI-managed infrastructure, the more significant the consequences of that infrastructure failing. This is not an argument against AI in critical systems. Human-managed infrastructure fails too, and AI may ultimately be more reliable on average. It is an argument for understanding the nature and scale of the dependencies being created, and for maintaining the resilience, oversight, and human understanding of critical systems that would allow meaningful recovery from failure. AI does not grieve. It does not experience love. It does not have relationships in which it is known and cared for across time in the way that humans know and care for each other. It does not have personal stakes in the outcomes of its decisions. No skin in the game. No consequences for itself from what it recommends. Whether these represent hard limits, things that AI could in principle never do, or simply current limitations of a technology that is still in early development, is genuinely uncertain. Consciousness, which underlies most of these capacities in humans, is one of the least understood phenomena in science. We do not know what produces it, whether it can arise in non-biological systems, or how we would recognize it if it did. What we can say is that the qualities most central to human experience, the emotional texture of relationships, the weight of moral responsibility, the sense of what matters and why, are not currently present in AI systems, and that their presence or absence in future systems will be among the most significant questions of the coming century. 100 years from now, a time frame long enough that almost nothing about the world is predictable with confidence, What might the relationship between humans and AI look like? If the optimistic trajectory holds, AI might be to the 22nd century what electricity is to today, something so fundamental to the infrastructure of daily life that its absence is essentially unimaginable, something that enables everything else but is rarely the thing people think about. Future generations might find it as strange to imagine life without AI assistance as we find it strange to imagine life without running water. AI-designed cities optimized for human well-being, energy efficiency, and resilience. AI scientists working alongside human researchers to navigate scientific questions that would otherwise take centuries. Personalized medicine that treats every patient as an individual biological system rather than an average case. Space exploration extended to environments too distant and too dangerous for biological humans, with AI systems serving as extensions of human curiosity and ambition. Brain-computer interfaces that alter the relationship between human cognition and digital intelligence in ways that are currently difficult to even conceptualize clearly. The children growing up now with AI as a normal feature of their environment will have a relationship with this technology that is fundamentally different from that of people who remember a world before it. For them, AI will not be a novelty or a disruption. It will simply be part of what the world is, in the same way that the internet is simply part of what the world is for the generation that grew up with it. So, will AI take over the world? The technology that exists today, for all its impressive capabilities, is not on a clear trajectory toward that scenario, and the technical obstacles to achieving anything like genuine machine consciousness or autonomous motivation are significant and not yet resolved. But the more interesting version of the question, the one that actually matters, is already being answered in real time. AI is already part of almost every significant industry. Society is already meaningfully dependent on AI-managed systems. Human behavior, attention, and expectation are already being shaped by the AI environments we inhabit daily. The integration is deep, it is growing, and it is unlikely to reverse. The question is never really whether AI will take over. The question is, how much control humans choose to hand over? To which systems, under what oversight, with what safeguards, for what reasons, and with what understanding of what they are giving up and what they are gaining? The answer to that question is being written right now, in laboratories and legislative chambers and corporate boardrooms and ordinary personal choices about which tasks to delegate and which to keep doing yourself. It is not being written by the machines. Every major turning point in human history, fire, agriculture, the wheel, the printing press, electricity, the internet, was ultimately shaped not by the technology itself, but by the choices humans made about how to use it, who could access it, and what guardrails to place around it. The technology created possibilities. The choices determined outcomes. AI is the next turning point. Whether it becomes humanity's most powerful tool for flourishing or one of its greatest challenges will not be decided by the machines. It will be decided by what humans choose to do and choose not to give up, while the story is still being written. Like and subscribe to Freud Mind for more.